What's up, guys? Just here back my channel, and tonight I'll be doing a review for WWE Backlash 2025. So let's get to it then with the first match. United States Championship Fatal 4-Way, Jacob Fatu, who's the champion, versus LA Knight, versus Demon Priest, versus Drew McIntyre. Alright, LA Knight, alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and skip to the interested because it takes a while for me to approximately develop approximately 2 minutes later. All 4 minutes stare each other down except LA Knight, who takes time to draw up the crowd, is clearly behind Fatu Priest and Damien Priest and McIntyre lock up as Knight and Fatu battle into the corner. Fatu throws Knight into the corner easily as Priest and McIntyre brawl to the outside. Knight drops Fatu with the net breaker, then takes down an entering Prius with a slam before hitting a move to the outside to wipe out McIntyre. Knight continues to stay on fire in the early moments, dropping everyone who bothers to get up. He plays to the crowd and avoids a chokeslam from Priest. Knight continues to stay in control, battering down Priest. Fatu looks for a Samoan drop, but Knight counters it into a neckbreaker. Wade Barrett said it best when it called this a 2-minute highlight reel of LA Knight. Knight and Priest decide to work together on Fatu, dropping the big man twice. Priest and Knight work together for several seconds until Knight attempts to turn on Priest. Priest dodges it. McIntyre enters the chat and drops both men with net breakers. Drew hits a third on Fatu, then kips up to a pop. Drew lines up Fatu for a claymore, but is intercepted by LA Knight. Fatu drops Knight. Excuse me, drops Knight. Fatu kicks Knight's body out of the ring and begins to fight for Priest. Priest and Fatu battle up on the turnbuckles until Priest uses her Corona to send Fatu flying. Priest looks for an old school as the action picks up and all 4 men get involved. Fatu begins to fire up, as does Drew. The chaos spills to the outside and sees Knight and Priest drop. The Fatu gets a big pop and enters the ring, entering a stare down with the rallying Drew McIntyre. They draw off Mine, then begin to exchange massive blows, much to the delight of the crowd. Fatu finally gets the better hand of McIntyre to a big pop battery that challenges her into the corner. Fatu takes a little too long climbing the turnbuckles, allowing McIntyre to rally and cross over. McIntyre pushes his thumbs into the champ's eyes. LA Knight comes to the rescue and begins to lay into McIntyre. Finally, Fatu gets his second win out of nowhere and begins to clean house. A huge swanton off the top to Drew from the champ. Fatu celebrates and eats a blunt force trauma from Knight, who eats south of heaven. Fatu south of heaven chokes out. I'm sorry. From Priest, who then eats a claymore from Drew McIntyre. A cover is made but broken. Okay, this person put the time thing. And the crowd weekly rips off hey, this is awesome champ. Sorry, single, but you're no peers. Okay. After moments, McIntyre begins to clear house with a future shock. DT's Fatu Priest and Knight all E1. Drew heads to the corner and counts down, executing a claymore on LA Knight. McIntyre covers, but Priest rips the ref out of the ring. McIntyre is livid, reminded of how Priest cost him the title in the past. The two brawl to the outside, and inside the ring. Fatu rallies and sets up Knight. Fatu heads up top and looks for Musa, but Knight rolls out of the way. Knight heads up top, and this a big elbow. Then a second off the top. Knight covers, but Fatu gets the shoulder up. McIntyre and Priest have continued to brawl out into the floor seats. Priest tells the camera that Drew's bored at work, a reference to a Twitter post from WrestleMania by Drew match. Okay, and they're shown brawling to a big equipment crate. Drew sets up Priest for a DT off the top, but Priest rakes McIntyre's eyes, and the two continue to brawl, eventually wiping each other out of the crate. We cut back to the ring and find Knight working over Fatu and outside the ring. Knight sends Fatu onto the announce table and uses the commentary table topper as a weapon. Knight lays Fatu on the top of the commentary table and heads to the ring and heads up to the middle turnbuckle before he can strike. Solo Sikoa makes a say, dragging Fatu off the table. Knight is clearly shown saying, "What the fuck?" He follows and blindsided by debuting Jeff Cobb. Cobb gets a mild pop and begins to destroy Knight. He sends Knight inside the ring, and Fatu recovers. Fatu eyes them and then heads to the ring. Fatu looks confused but begins to lay into Knight. Fatu with a big running corner strike. Fatu positions Knight, heads up top, and hits his fancy moonsault. Fatu covers and picks up Knight the win. The person put the time thing, which I'm not gonna read. So Sokoa and Jeff Cobb are shown watching Fatu from the ringside area. Fatu eventually approaches them on the ramp and walks right past them. So your winner is still United States Champion Jacob Fatu. That was a good match. I enjoyed that match. Alright, so anyways, second match coming out, Women's Intercontinental Championship match, Live Valkyria, who's a champion, versus Becky Lynch. Quite a lot of view, blah blah. The screens for remind to have dozen blah blah. Live video blah blah. Okay, so YouTube plays competition. Becky starts off. Okay, here we go. Becky starts us off by taking Lyra into the corner. The ref warns her off to two exchange counters in the early moments, with Becky looking to cinch in a rare hold on Lyra. The champ continues to fight her off. The opening several moments are honestly just Lynch slash Lyra trying to lock up each other, multiple counters, and a few basic working holds. Lyra engages in a series of surfboard stretches in a unique way, constantly readjusting and replying it. Lyra battles Becky to the outside using a baseball sliding kick to send Lynch crashing into the barricade. Lynch, however, begins to rally and takes a stretch in control. Lynch plays to crowd and begins to taunt Lyra, brutally pummeling the champ across the back while rubbing her face into the canvas. Becky uses a slower pace and tries to soften the champ and wear down her stamina. Becky and Lyra begin to battle in the corner. Excuse me. Anyways, to battle in the corner as the champ looks to show life, only for Lynch to shut her down with the back exploder suplex for a 2 count. The two battle to the outside again. Lynch takes Lyra to the barricade and slams her into it right in front of apparently Lyra's fiance, per Michael Cole. Okay, she mocks Lyra and her fiance, then takes the action back into the ring. Lynch slaps the face of the champ and taunts her. Lyra rises defiantly and begins to fight back. Lyra begins a combat sequence, culminating with a package driver. I believe the crowd pops for this. Lyra tries to fire herself and warns Lyra with a running clothesline, then another followed by a very weak looking strike sequence. Lyra with the cartwheel into Azaguri covering for a 2. Lyra looks distraught when that didn't put Lynch away. Lynch and Lyra battle into the corner, then up the turnbuckles as the crowd comes alive and begins dueling chant. Lyra hits a stalling suplex on Lynch, covering for a 2. Lyra and Lynch attempt opposing roll-ups with the ref catching Lynch holding onto the ropes. Lynch drives Lyra into the canvas and again, but for a 2 long moments pass and the crowd tries to fire up both women. Lynch rises, beginning Lyra to rise. Lynch looks for a manhandle slam, but Lyra avoids it. Lyra sends Lynch outside and then hits a springboard attack to the outside. Lyra takes it back into the ring and hits a leg drop off the top rope to the back of Lynch's neck. Beautiful spot. Lyra recovers, but no joy. The two rise and begin to slug it out, with the crowd hot for each blow. Both women look for backslides. Lynch drives Lyra into the mat and locks in an arm bar. Lyra escapes and slaps on an arm bar of her own, and Lynch breaks it by pushing Lyra's shoulders back, forcing her to break. Lynch locks in the disarm her, but Lyra slips out of it. Becky goes for a manhandle slam, but Lyra escapes. Lynch hits it and connects, but only gets a 2. Big pop from the crowd. After the octane moments, the crowd with this awesome chant snaps, pummeling Lyra. As strut, Lynch gets a steel chair and takes it to the ring. The ref, Jessica Carr, takes it away. As Carr gets rid of the chair, Lynch quickly uncovers the top turnbuckle and the cover. Lara sees this and tries to send Lynch into it. Lynch blocks it. The two battle with Lara driving Lynch into the canvas and curling for two. No joy once again. It's now blah blah. Lara picks Lynch up on her shoulders, but Lynch escapes. Lynch shoves Lara into the corner and hits a manhandle slam on her as she rebounds out of the corner. Come on, Lynch Carr finally realizes the turnbuckle's been exposed and heads outside the ring to get the covering pad. Lara hits the Nightwing on Becky, but Carr was out of position, and enters the ring a little too late, allowing Lynch to kick out. Lara pulls Lynch up on her shoulders, looking for another Nightwing. Lynch escapes and looks for a manhandle slam, but Lara dodges a series of roll-up attempts, culminates with Lara stealing the win out of the blue. That was a sudden as fuck. Lynch snaps and begins to pummel Lara yet again. She slaps disarm her on Lara and refuses to break it as the ref implodes her. Pose are finally Jason Jordan, Adam Pearce, and others get her to break it all. She leaves, and as refs and officials check on Lyra. So your winner and still Women's Intercontinental Champion Lyra Valkyria. Man, Becky Lynch went psycho after the match. So, anyways, and next match is their match, Intercontinental Championship match. Dominic Mysterio, who's a champion, versus Penta. This was a short match, man. Like, jeez. All right. So, anyways, looking for Velvet Zero Gear, blah blah. We get the bell. Penta looks odd in pure blue like that. The two spin don't be minutes at a fast pace. Neither man able to take control at first. Mysterio finally sends Penta outside and hits a beautiful suicide dive into DT for a good pop. Mysterio continues to work over Penta outside the ring as the crowd sings to the Dirty One. Dom stays in, slowing the pace drastically with working holes in the ring. Finally, Penta shows signs of life with a sling blade on the champ. Penta climbs the turnbuckles as Dom escapes to the outside. Penta pivots and dives off the top of the turnbuckle. It's wiping out Dom with a crossbody to a nice pop. The action continues back and forth. Dom and Penta jockey for control on the apron with both men digging deep. Penta eats a running kitchen sink and fires off a Mexican destroyer on the apron. Carlito makes his way out and begins to distract the ref. Balor and JD McDonough hop over the barricade to attack Penta. Balor has a chance to take out Penta, but dilly-dallies around until the ref catches them. The ref sends them to the back. The Judgment Day argue amongst themselves, with Carlito upset especially at Finn for dragging things out. Penta attacks them with the top move, flying out to wipe out the Judgment Day. Penta heads back into the ring and ascends turnbuckles when the ref isn't looking. El Grande Americano attacks and distracts the ref. Penta allowing Dom to attack Mysterio with the frog splash and cover to pick up the win and retain. Your winner is still Intercontinental Champion Dom Mysterio. That was a very short match, man. That was like a damn. I thought it was gonna be a little longer, but this game. All right, so next match is singles match: Gunther versus Pat McAfee. Patrez is going to be Bledger this time against James Paco bunches. Time. I'm sorry, guys. Trying to skip to the let's go. Legends coming out May 3rd. Their news should be known for 5 days after it tanks. Okay, blah blah. Whatever. Gunther makes away, and we get another bell. The crowd loudly chants, "You tapped out." As Pat soaks it in, Gunther Pat locks up. Sorry, this person was talking shit about the Karate Kid movie Legends. As it hasn't been out yet, so should be. I don't know. Anyways, Gunther and Pat lock up with Gunther easily shoving Pat off into the corner. The ref says something to Gunther, no clue why. The two competitors circle again and lock up. Gunther with a slide headlock toss, sliding Pat across the ring. Gunther with a wrist lock takedown as Ray Barrett seems to doubt Gunther loses 2 matches within a 3-week span, considering how little he's lost. Okay, Gunther goes for a chop, but Pat smartly moves away to a big pop. Gunther smiles, saying "All right," and closes in. The crowd rips off another loud "Let's go, Pat" chant as they lock up. Pat slaps out on a headlock, but Gunther breaks out Pat with a big right to Gunther, but Pat attempts a springboard strike but completely misses the ropes. He doesn't stop, however, closes the distance just in time for Gunther to drop him hard. Gunther begins to lay into Pat with kicks. Pat rises and fires off with combination, punching combination, ending with a chop. Gunther calls for another Pat with another chop. Gunther calls for more. So Pat delivers. Gunther fires off a solitary chop and drops Pat harder. The crowd didn't like that. Gunther pulls Pat up and Gunther begins to beat the shit out of Pat, starting with brutal chops and hard kicks. Pat tries to fight back with chops, but Gunther again lays into him with chops. A huge big boot drops Pat. Cole yells at Gunther to just cover Pat and show mercy. The crowd very loudly begins to chant "You tap tap" to piss off Gunther. He takes out on Pat. McAfee tries to rally, slapping Gunther with a big chop and German suplex for to drop. But I mean Pat. Gunther yells at Pat and taunts him, wrenching the neck before snapping on the sleeper. Pat tries to fight out of it, forcing an arm back. Gunther shuts that shit down with a German suplex. Cole again appeals to Gunther for mercy. Gunther just laughs as he walked around the ring and taunting the crowd. Gunther sets Pat on the turnbuckle and climbs behind him. The crowd loudly chants for Pat, and he begins to rally. Pat sends Gunther down and hits Gunther with a punt kick of his own. Pat covers, but Gunther kicks out almost immediately, and despite the crowd momentum, Gunther taunts Pat. Pat begins to unload chops on Gunther. Gunther fires off one of his own. Pat continues to fire off chops, then fists. As the crowd stays into this, Pat looks winded, but hits a rope, rebounding big boot Pat off the ropes again for a weak super kick. Gunther hangs in there and bombs Pat. Gunther slaps a Boston Crab on Pat in the center of the ring. Pat tries to fight out. Mount Cole rips off his headset and goes to the ringside area. The crowd rallies behind Cole as he tries to fire up Pat. Gunther breaks a hold and pounds Pat to taunt Cole. A huge Mount Cole chant from the crowd. Gunther drags Cole into the ring. Gunther looks to powerbomb Cole McAfee to the rescue with a big boot, but Gunther shrugs it off and drops Pat. Pat with an roll up from behind for a close two on Gunther at. Okay, this person put the time thing. Gunther breaks out and looks for a suplex on Pat, who's standing on the ring. Cole grabs Gunther's leg. Cole's cheating Pat blocks on the suplex. Gunther's in range, but Pat slaps a sleeper on Gunther to a massive pop. Gunther escapes, however, and puts the sleeper on Pat. Pat tries to hang in there, empowering to his feet to a big pop. Gunther hangs on, however, and drags him back in the middle of the ring. Square on the canvas. Pat is put to sleep. Cole checks on Pat as Gunther stands over them, smirking. So your winner, Gunther. Alright, main event, undisputed WWE Championship main event. John Cena, who is a champion, versus Randy Orton. Alright, Randy Orton is then John Cena's out next. We're all from the non-friends wrestling were offended by crowd reaction to new interest. Please do not report it. Just report more Frenchies, just like WrestleMania. Okay, dude, talking shit about French people or some shit. I don't know. John Cena is not giving us anything. He doesn't come out to a Tron. Just the same black. Walks in the ring, yellow board the last time I now tell him. Alright. Okay, so comparators circle. Alright. The crowd pause as our comparator circle. Cena and Orton start us with a collar and elbow tie up, bringing it off. After a few more moments of pointless struggle, they circle and lock up again. Same results. Randy gets a great chant from the crowd. John Cena offers a hand to shake, but Orton refuses. Cena talks to Orton off mic and offers a handshake again. Orton reaches for it, and Cena jabs him in the eyes. Orton ultimately jabs Cena back in the eyes. Cena flees outside the ring to a pop. Cena hits the ring, and they lock up again. Yeah, this is going to be a slow pace. Okay, whatever. Orton slaps on a side headlock, and we're entering our working holds Holt's phase of the match. Folks, blah blah. Cena does typical heel tactics throughout the match, such as leaving the ring and deciding he's done and attempting to leave, only for Orton to chase him down and fight him back to the ring. Cena takes control. Once they enter the ring, Cena mounts the turnbuckles and begins to unload with fists as the crowd counters along to Orton. Takes Cena into the corner and mounts the turnbuckles, firing off punches as the crowd more enthusiastically counts with him to 20 punches. He has the rest giving them some leeway here. Okay, anyways, Orton covers, but Cena kicks out easily at 2. The action continues back and forth, with neither man taking control for too long. Cena slaps a sleeper on Orton person for the time again, hopping up on Orton's back and efforts to weaken the challenger. Orton squirms free and slaps a sleeper of his own on Cena, rather more akin to a chinlock based on the angle. Cena escapes and slaps a sleeper on Orton. Orton escapes, slaps one on Cena. This goes on multiple times. Both men are finally down, and the crowd pops. They're easily entertained. Clearly, Cena and Orton rise. Cena begins his combat sequence, dropping Orton with multiple shoulder tackles before hitting a spinning slam. Cena signals for the 5-knuckle shuffle drop and connects across Orton's forehead. Cena wants an AA, but Orton escapes and starts his own comeback, dropping Cena with the spinebuster. Cena rolls to the apron and rises. Orton looks for a draping DT, but Cena counters and looks for a cover. Orton escapes, and Cena slaps into the STF hold on Orton in the middle of the ring. Orton tries to get to the ropes. Cena attempts to reposition the hold. Orton kicks Cena off and hits the draping DT on the champ. Orton rises to a big pop positions in the middle of the ring and flops down, calling for the RKO. The crowd are on their feet for this as the Viper is ready to strike. He goes for the RKO, but Cena shoves him off. Cena hits the attitude adjustment on Orton and we get a replay, and it looks like Orton went for an RKO right as Cena hit the AA. Hard to describe, but looking around, blah blah. Alright, both men are slow to rise. Cena and Orton begin to exchange blows, slow blows and kicks. Cena hits an AA on Orton out of nowhere, recovering for 2. The crowd hits a very, very loud "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks" chant. The only chant. Orton and Cena clash in the middle of the ring. Cena with a diving shoulder tackle. Orton with an RKO, but out of nowhere, time thing. Orton can't capitalize on it and doesn't cover. He sees a down Cena and slightly limps over, sizing him up. He backs up to the corner and covers for the punt kick. Cena dodges it and just in time and hits another AA. Cena covers Orton and kicks out. Orton kicks out at 2. Cena looks for a punt kick, but Orton dodges just in time. The Orton goes for an RKO, but Cena shoves Orton off and right into ref Chad Patton. The ref is down. Cena grins, dropping Orton and telling the crowd to shush. Very creepily, he exits the ring and taunts Wade Barrett and Michael, then retrieves his undisputed WWE Championship belt. He enters the ring intending to use it as a weapon, but Orton hits an RKO out of nowhere. Orton covers, but the ref is slow to recover. Cena kicks out at 2. Should have been a 4 if the ref wasn't down. The crowd loudly chants "bullshit" as Orton stalks the outside ring area. Orton begins to clear the commentary table, ripping off the cables and monitors. Cena attacks him from behind as he's distracted. The ref is down again as Cena continues to dominate Orton outside the ring. Cena taunts the crowd and pulls Orton up, looking for an AA. Orton wiggles free and hoists Cena up. Orton hits AA on Cena through the commentary table. Orton drags Cena up, talking smack, and smashes Cena's face into the rubble. The ref is still down. Orton begins to dig under the ref, looking for weapons. He finds a table and pulls it out to a big pop. Orton sets the table up and takes Cena around the ring towards the table. Cena fights back and fights back and hoists Orton for an AA. Orton squirms free and picks up Cena, sending Cena through the table with another AA. The ref is still down as Orton begins to coil up. Orton with an RKO on Cena in the middle of the ring. Orton covers a new official streaks down to the ring, currying for a close 2 count. Orton wants to argue with the ref, but Orton's the dumbass who decided to cover a man while knowing the ref is down. Cena attempts to ambush Orton. Orton counters by firing off an RKO and covering again with no ref. The crowd counts to about 15 before changing the boot to boos. GM's Adam Pierce, Nick Aldis, and 3-4 goons come. I didn't see Nick Aldis out there. I mean, I'm Pierce. I mean, all right. So, anyways, come out to check check on the refs. Orton first hits an RKO on Nick Aldis, then Adam, and then okay, I'll probably see it. Nick Pierce, it went too fast, and then the other four are out with them to a massive pop. Orton sets Cena up and looks for a punt kick. R-Truth hits the ring to make the save for his childhood hero. Orton hits an RKO on Truth. John Cena hits a low blow on Orton to a massive boost, then uses the towel to smash the back of Orton's skull. Cena covers and the ref Chad Patton recovers just in time to make the cover count. We get replays for days. Okay, so your winner is still undisputed WWE champion John Cena. Alright, John Cena says, after the show finished, John Cena says, I know you can't see me, but can you hear me? Cut my damn music. I don't need music. What I need is competition. And I sure as hell don't need you, the fans. Well, yeah, don't need you. Drink it in, St. Louis, because this is what the last real champion looks like. Our Encrest role as the crowd loudly boos the champ posing in the ring at the start of the post show, what we would call an overrun, where the champ is still playing up to the crowd and making his exit. The crowd is clearly loudly hearing chanting, thank you, Cena, as the champ finally leaves. He poses at the top of the ramp one last time in St. Louis before heading to the back. Alright, so, yeah, good show tonight and stuff. Yeah, it was a little more better than WrestleMania and stuff, so yeah, that was it. But, yeah, good show and, a little more better than WrestleMania this year and stuff, but WrestleMania was kind of even last month. Yeah, but good show tonight. I enjoyed it. Some good matches under the third match with Penta and Dominic. That was a short match, man. That was not a good match at all. So yeah, poor Penta. Felt sorry for him, but yeah. So that was not a good match. So first match, second match, fourth match, and fifth match were good and stuff. So yeah, so very good tonight and stuff. But I enjoy it. But man, seeing him, man, damn, it's crazy and stuff. But yeah, I can't wait to see what happens on Monday, all that stuff. So yeah. But anyways, that was it for this video. Hope you like it, not whatever stuff. So like, subscribe, hit the button, leave a comment. If you guys want to leave a comment stuff, I don't care what you guys do. And that was it. I'll see you guys in the next video for on Monday Night Raw. All right, laters.